Welcome, Susie.
Hello.
Already had a bit of a chat, but formally welcome because we'll start the session formally now. So yeah, let's have a look at today's quote, and there's a little bit of teaching there, and then we'll go into the lesson. I'm just going to share my screen. And let's find the correct. Where are we? Bum. Okay, so if you can see that.
I am on my phone today, Jono, so if you could just zoom in for me a little bit.
Make it a bit bigger.
Yes, please.
No problem, you can do that.
Otherwise, I'll be making you read it all.
150%, is that okay? Can you read that? There you go.
Let me just, oh, I've done it on my side as well, so that's okay, yeah.
Yeah, so if you read the quote.
Never run before God's guidance. If there is the slightest doubt, then he is not guiding. Whenever there is doubt, don't.
So any thoughts on that?
I felt that to be so profound this morning because I don't think I've been living by that guidance, and there's a lot of doubt that goes off in my head. So I did like that. It kind of confirmed to me what I'm doing anyway. But if there's doubt, I never do it anyway. So yes, I like that.
Yeah, I thought it was really to the point. So the whole
beautiful
point
picture as well, by the way. Beautiful photo of the forest and the sun coming through was. I thought that was beautiful as well.
Glad you liked it. Yeah. Well, I try and find pictures that are just kind of like, that just brings out something in the quote. So, so it's kind of the wood, the wood for the trees. We lost in the forest, and you look for guidance, and then if you see that, that light shining through, you have no doubt. Okay, there's the sun. That's where I need to go. If you're not sure, then you're like, don't go anywhere because you might be going the wrong direction. So that's really the idea. So I'm glad you like the images. So if you want to read just the first paragraph.
Well, in today's inspirational quote by Oswald Chambers, a Scottish Baptist evangelist, he gives us guidance on how to follow God's or love's guidance. If you feel any doubt, which is a form of fear, then its guidance has been obscured by your ego or belief in separation, which is the source of all fear. And he advises you don't do anything until there is no longer any doubt in your mind. So if you are faced with an important decision in your life and you are not absolutely certain about which way you should go, pause and ask. Ask for guidance first, then be patient and wait for a clear answer and the conviction that arises with it.
Yeah, does that resonate?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
And sometimes we don't get it immediately, but if we really ask, Yeshua himself said, ask and you shall receive, seek and you'll find, knock and the door will be opened. It's recorded in the New Testament. So the guidance is there if we ask. And
your
examples,
your example that you shared in your email was very good as well today, because like you said, we can sit in that meditative state in the morning or night, but it came to you whilst you were chopping and you do find that you're actually doing some kind of activity where you're not even thinking about anything apart from the food. and your answer had come to you. So I found that to be very useful as well. I found that to be good.
Yeah, when your mind is, I find that, that activity of chopping something, you don't really have to think very much. There's an openness that comes, and so that's, then an inspired idea, intuition can just pop in. And you just need to be aware of it. Suddenly, I'd been quite interpolated for a couple of days, really, about probably, it'd been building up, so it was sort of ongoing over about a month. And then this guy finally said, okay, well, here's the there's a deadline. This is the situation, and if you don't respond by the Monday, 5 days away or something, then you're going to get nothing. And I was like, part of me was just like, this is outrageous behavior. How dare you? And you want to fight and take legal action, and so I was quite interpolated with it. And then, but I went the night before, and okay, show me. Like, really, it was a conscious request. Show me, give me the guidance as to what to do. And it just, in that moment, it was just a thought, but it was such a calm, peaceful feeling that came. It's like, okay, just, it was in my case, it was a voice that said to me, just let it go. Let it go and leave the outcome to me. It was very clear, like, let go and leave the outcome to me. Very simple, clear instruction. And I just felt that kind of drop, and I was like, yeah, that feels right. It feels correct. It feels like that's guidance. I felt calm. I felt peaceful about it. And if you get that clarity, then that's the guidance you should follow. And so I didn't second guess it. And part of me was like, well, if I can't teach, if I can't apply this stuff in my own life, I shouldn't teach it. I was about to start a new course, which Sue and John joined on, and then as a result of that, all of this unfolded. And it would have been like, if I can't apply this myself, how can I honestly teach this? So it was almost like a test. Say, can you do this? And I did pass that test, and then since then the art of letting go has flourished. Really, more people have come. It's all just happened organically. If I hadn't let go, it would have been very interesting to see what happened, because I suspect the program wouldn't have gone in the same way. And so you get these tests, and actually, that lawyer, on the level of form, he was being greedy and he was being unethical, but actually, it was a gift. He was giving me a chance to really let go, to apply it in practice, where it's not just theoretical. It was like, okay, there's actually, quite a lot of money at stake, and I needed the money at the time. So, that's when it counts. That's when, like, okay, it's not just theory. It's, can you actually apply this in practice? And then there's a profound lesson. I felt like, there was definitely a profound lesson that I learned. That it helped me to release some attachment to money and form, and just say, look, what's important is applying these principles no matter what. And so it was a really good learning experience, and as a result, the outcome was positive. I had a profound experience at the Vipassana retreat, which I describe here, just mystical kind of awakening, where I really saw in an instant what Yeshua calls the holy instant. I just experienced the truth of the whole thing. It was almost like the course just dropped in for me in that moment, and everything just became so clear in a way that it hadn't before. I kind of intellectually understood the principles, but this was experiential. I just perceived for the first time, maybe so clearly, that this world's a veil of illusion. I really understood why it's a veil of illusion, that it's just everything that we perceive in the external world is a justification for the thoughts and emotions that the ego is made up to cover over the pure formless awareness, which I just had a profound experience of. So after 9 days of this silent, meditation, it's like my mind just dropped into that awareness for a while. It wasn't very long, maybe only 30 seconds or a minute, or I don't know. You lose there's no sense of time. It wasn't very long. But that experience was enough to really profoundly, I think, change my life. So I was like, okay, I get it. I've been talking about this stuff and studying it, and suddenly it's like, okay, because within a few seconds of having that experience, it was like the Holy Spirit came in and interpreted for me. So now thought came back, but it was interpreting that experience for me in a very helpful way and saying, well, look, you can see the truth. You've just, all of this rubbish that's been going on in your mind and your emotions for your whole life is the product of this world of illusion that you've created. So it's all just a veil. It's a covering over that awareness. And suddenly the truth just dawned on me, like, this is why they call it the veil of illusion. And it's all bound up. That idea that we've projected it from our beliefs is, it's an intellectual concept until you go, yeah, I feel that. Yes, it's actually all me. I've done this to myself. And that's when it kind of experientially drops for you. And then I think you can, because you know it so clearly, you can teach it better. Because it's coming from your own experience. Like, yes, I teach it because I know it, because I've had that experience. So all of it, the letting go of the situation with the lawyer, and then that allowed me to go and do the retreat. It was all part of this process that the Holy Spirit had planned, but I had to accept its guidance. I had to listen to that clear voice saying, okay, just let it go and leave the outcome to me. And that's we've got to trust that. We've got to learn to recognize what that voice sounds like and feels like, and then trust it. Because if you don't trust it, then you'll second guess it, and then the ego is likely to try and hijack it and cause you to go in another way. So all of the mind training we do is really one of the major benefits is to get so clear that we can hear that voice. It's coming through, we can hear it, we can recognize it. We don't just dismiss it. It's actually clear enough and loud enough for us to hear, to acknowledge clearly, and then listen to. So it can help us. And without the mind training, that voice gets obscured. And most people, they don't hear it. Might be there faintly as a voice, but it gets jumbled up with the ego's voice, and so it gets drowned out, and so they don't listen to guidance, and then the ego's just spinning them around in the dream, and there's no apparent answer to that until you start to listen to this voice. So it's a major theme of A Course in Miracles, this listening to guidance. And how do you listen to guidance? And it's really, part of this, the benefits of doing the spiritual practice, of practicing these lessons every day and meditating on them and letting go. It's all letting go. When you let go, that opens your mind, and then you can receive the guidance in whatever way, shape, or form that is. It might be a voice speaking to you as it did. It might be someone else saying something. It might be an email you get. It might be a billboard you see. It might be a text message. It can come in many ways. There's almost an infinite range of channels that the Holy Spirit can use in this seemingly very diverse world. But you start to learn to recognize the feeling. What does it feel like? And in my experience, it feels calm, it feels peaceful, and there's a sense of conviction. It's like, yes, yeah, something in me knows that that's correct and that's right. So I'm going to go with that because it feels right. It feels peaceful. It feels wholesome. There's kind of a wholeness to it. And it's difficult to explain. You can try and put this into words. So in the end, we have to learn it for ourselves, because it's a feeling, it's an experience, and no one can tell you exactly what that feels like. You have to learn for yourself, which is why ultimately this is experiential. All of this mind training material must be experienced by you, so that you learn it for yourself, and then you learn to recognize, okay, this is true and this is not. This is true guidance and this is not, by the difference in feeling that those two different voices have for you.
I was going to say thank you for sharing that, because you don't normally get to hear that experience that somebody's had, and then it just makes it more profound, doesn't it? Because like you keep saying, it is like your own experience. Yeah, we're doing this mind training, but the experience has to be unique to you, and it'll come in whatever form, like you say. But thank you for sharing that. It does make, I felt that today when I was reading it as well, and noticing that how sometimes it's how we perceive things, but you know, like you said, you were just chopping away some vegetables or whatever, and it just came to you then. And that's when you get that moment and that, yeah. So thanks for sharing that.
No, it's a pleasure. Just because I think often in, you know, in experience, we can talk about the principles and the theory. So the cows come home. But someone else's experience, you go, oh, okay, so that's how it worked for you. And everyone's experience is going to be slightly different. But in that experience, you know, there's the principles in action that you can learn from. Okay, well, it didn't happen in a formal way, it just happened. I asked for the guidance, and I was very clear. You know, the night before, I said, okay, I want an answer. Give me the answer. I'm willing to listen. I'll do whatever. And when you ask, you know, you receive. And I very clearly dropped in. And again, I wasn't, because I was chopping vegetables, I wasn't overthinking. I wasn't thinking consciously about it. It just came in an empty moment, which shows you that, you know, everything can be meditative or mindful. That's really the idea of the mindfulness. Your entire life can be lived in this mindful state. Your life becomes a moving meditation where you're in this awareness and there's not a lot of thought. And then this kind of guidance can come in moment by moment. You can really listen and be guided. Okay, well, what should I do now? And then the thought comes in, the feeling comes in, and you just go with it. And that, you know, that's called the flow. And then you're entering into the flow of life, and you're continuously guided by this deeper presence in you, which is why we do the work. This is why we do the mind training, so that you surrender, you hand over the guidance, and you're saying, I'm not trying to run the show anymore. I'm surrendering to this guidance. That doesn't mean I'm not going to get guidance. A lot of people get worried. But, well, you know, if I give up the ego, is there anything else? And I might just become a vegetable and sit in an empty state and, you know, not be given guidance. And in my experience and many other people's experience of working with the course, that's not the case. You will get the guidance. It's just coming from a different place. And it can be very specific guidance. In this case, you know, it was just leave it to me, let this go, accept the guy's offer. It's very specific to that situation. That's the genius of the Holy Spirit. It's not some general, we'll just let go. It's actually specific to that particular situation, and it gives you some instruction as to what to do. So it's very helpful, which is the genius of the Holy Spirit. Although it's taking you out of the dream ultimately to pure formless awareness of perfect love, it's going to give you specific guidance to help you in your dream, which is why it's useful and practical and powerful. So why do we resist that process? Why do we resist listening to the guidance when it can really help us? I mean, that bit of guidance that I got was enormously helpful. If I hadn't followed that guidance, my entire life would have unfolded differently from that point. And I don't think it would have been better. I think it would have been significantly worse. It would have created a lot of challenges if I hadn't followed that guidance and I'd listened to the ego. So they're there, you know, especially in these important decisions, that the guidance is there to really smooth your way and just make your life a whole lot easier, avoid a lot of, you know, pain and suffering, and flow with it. You know, the challenge is there and you just flow with it. You make the right decision and you go, well, actually it all worked out quite well. And, you know, it's all fine. And I've learned that I can, you know, in any situation, I can turn to it for guidance. It's always there. So it's one of the major themes of A Course in Miracles, and I thought it was just worth bringing it into awareness today, because the lesson is all about guidance. And as I said, yeah, you know, the guy died.
It's a clear sign, yeah, and it's clear, like you said, when you followed it, you knew what you were following at the time. But like you said, we all have the ego, and it's so subtle, and that's why I guess so many people don't follow, or I think that's when the doubt comes in when you start questioning it. Is that the ego or whatever? And before you know it, the ego's took over. Then there is no point, because you need to get back to that. Well, not back to that calmness. It's just that, like you said, sometimes it's just there and you don't even know until you say you want an answer or you're looking for something. I don't think people think like that either. They don't really ask, do they? I've got a situation here. I'm stuck with it. I've got a problem. Okay, tell me what to do. I'm listening, you know. And then do we listen, or do we just?
A lot of the time people don't ask. So part of the mind training is saying, okay, I'm feeling, I noticed, I wasn't at peace. I was turbulated. So then you ask, you say, well, show me a way out of this. So you're asking for release from it. And because I know the principles of forgiveness or letting go very well, it was like, well, clearly, once you understand these principles, getting attached to an outcome, a form outcome, like getting the money, is not in alignment with the principles that we study. So you have the intellectual, but you still have to listen and be willing to trust. Because it was like, okay, I'm letting go of this, and actually I could really use that extra money that I'm having to let go of, but I'm having to trust that it's all going to be okay, that this voice that I'm listening to knows much better than I do. And it's always about letting go of attachment to the form outcome. Well, usually, or almost always, you're not attached to the form. It's just what feels right. So it's peace. You're choosing peace in that moment. Does it bring you peace? That's a very good decision tool. So does this decision make me feel more peaceful? And if it does, then it's almost always going to be the right decision, because peace is the natural outcome of letting go and of connecting with your source. So, for anyone listening, like, just go into your mind, ask for guidance. And if something comes, really ask yourself, does that make me feel more peaceful? Does it involve letting go? The first box ticked. If it does, okay, yes, this is a letting go of an attachment to money or some form outcome. And does it bring me more peace? And if both of those boxes are ticked, then you're on the right track. Certainly, it's unlikely that that's going to be wrong guidance, because those are the principles that underlie, letting go and miracles. If it feels difficult and turbulated, and I suppose the ego can come in and try and sabotage it, but then you've got to get clear. And so is that just because the ego is giving me an alternative here? And it's actually that alternative that's causing the turbulation. Actually, the thought of just following the guidance is actually quite peaceful if I just focus on that. And so it's mind training, isn't it? Because if you're not clear and you don't know how to do that, then you're just going to be turbulated, and there's going to be the confusion, and you're not going to be able to cut through and get the clarity. So that's why we do, all of this is mind training, so that you can, in those difficult situations, you can get the clarity. You can hone in on that voice and go, yes, I can cut out the clutter, and I can really listen to that voice, and I can feel what it feels like. It feels right. And then I get the clarity. It's like, the light coming through the trees in a dark forest. I see, that's the light I need to follow, which is why I chose the image as well. And so, these are the principles, and this is how it can feel to help you, anyone who's listening to the recording, to listen to the guidance. But you have to, you learn it by practicing. If you've got a decision to make in your life, you go, okay, well, let me apply these principles and see what happens. And you learn by doing it. You learn by actually having a decision to make, and then making the decision, and learning from the outcome. And that's why this whole process is experiential. It's not just theoretical, because you only really learn when you practice it and you apply it, and then you see the outcomes. And that's why it's called A Course in Miracles and not A Course in Love or A Course in Revelation, because it's these miracles, the shifts in your perception, and then the decisions you make that are the learning. That's where the learning really takes place. And that's how you ultimately correct your mind. You heal the mind completely. You free your mind from the ego, and you return back to oneness. you do it through this process of listening to the guidance, following it, letting the miracle unfold. And then you learn, you get more and more conviction in the presence that underlies it. You go, this presence is always right. And it always brings, these miracles. And the more I practice it, the more convinced I become that that presence is there and that it's the only answer. And then that ultimately delivers me back to my source, back to God, back to heaven. Guidance was just a temporary necessity on the journey. In an illusion where you're lost in a maze, you need guidance. But once you're free of that illusion, that maze, you don't need the guidance. And so we only need it as long as we're on the journey. And ultimately, it's designed to take us out of the maze, beyond the matrix, to the perfect peace of God, pure formless awareness of perfect love, as we call it, that is beyond it all. Okay, so any thoughts on that?
No, I think you've explained it really well. I sometimes think the agitation, or when you get agitated about it all, is actually a sign that you're diverting in the wrong way. You need to go back to that kind of peace. But I think, like you said, it's that whole experience that you have on your own. And sometimes you just can't explain that experience because it was unique to yourself. So we can write about it, like you said, and do whatever, but the experience is an experience for you to go through.
It's personal experience. So every spiritual path has this, in the mystic side, they call it the mystics, which again is a word that makes it seem kind of mystical and different and a bit of a mystery and unattainable, but actually it's the only thing that makes any kind of sense. Well, how can you really learn anything unless you've experienced it for yourself? It's just theoretical knowledge. So you can go and you can study these principles. Oh yeah, we listen to guidance, and you can repeat, we listen to guidance, and this is, but until you've experienced it, you don't really know. It's just theory. So the mystics are just the ones who've actually applied and experienced, and then they have a deeper knowledge because they know it, because they've experienced it. It's not theoretical or intellectual knowledge. So it's a call to practice. In this teaching, I don't know if you listen to any of it, it's worth listening to. David Hoffmeister and Francis Zhu go on quite a lot about guidance, how you listen to guidance, and the idea of mind training, that they're associated. The more you do the mind training, in other words, practicing the lessons and being mindful for the ego, being vigilant for it, using the daily lesson, the more you're going to be listening to guidance.
Yeah, I meant to watch that this morning, and I've got it on my to-do list to do, because I do want to actually watch it, because you do share some great stuff for just to get, I think that's the beauty of what you're sharing, because I've not got to click or look anywhere else. You kind of give me the encyclopedia to your your finder. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You are giving me the links, you are giving it, and that's what I meant to do this morning. But I think I clicked on it and thought to myself, I haven't got that time, because sometimes they're only like 10, 20 minutes, but this is a bit longer and I really want to pay attention to it. So I will definitely listen into it later.
Yeah. And you can listen while you're doing something else. It could be cooking or driving, and it's just going on in the background and permeating in, and just reinforces what you've learned in the live session. Then you're getting it from another channel. So really the approach of this program is that it's multidimensional. You've got a number of different ways of learning, and if you do a number of them in a day, then you've really learned the lesson. So there's a lesson on this, there's a quote, there's a lesson, there's a live session, there's a recorded session. If you do all of that, it's just kind of, seeping in to a deeper part of your mind in a way that just simple, like today's quote is powerful, but if you just read the quote for a minute or two, it's not going to go in on the same level. It's just you've done all of it. So it's experiential immersion into these ideas in quite a deep way, so that you really learn them and
Yeah, and I was going to add to that. Sometimes when you listen to it in the morning, like I think it was last week when you could stand up or sit down. I felt it to be really profound in the morning. And as the day got on, I didn't feel so, I couldn't touch my feet towards the end of the day. And I found that strange because I could do in the morning. Yet the other day I did it in the morning and I was just umming and ahhing. But by the end of the day, it was a different. So you're right. I think it's the way how we are and the way we come across these teachings. But you're right. You have a different outlook from morning to night on each lesson, depending on how you're processing it and how you're doing it.
Yeah. So each day is a little journey. It's a little miniature version of the hero's journey, and you can go through times where you get distracted, there's doubt, and then use the lessons. Okay, let me, it's your compass. That's why I use let me just use this to guide me back to the center, come back. If I've wandered off, my attention is distracted, I'm not focused, I've got negativity going on, I just bring it back. And the lesson is like your mental, emotional, and spiritual compass to bring you back in a few seconds, in a minute or two. Generally these breath breaks are like no more than 3-4 minutes, and you just come back into the connection. And yes, you're saying if you keep doing that, then more and more you're training your mind to stay connected, to not leave. Why would you want to depart from this guidance? Stay in this presence that's going to guide you until the presence becomes you. You realize the presence is me. I'm not really separate from it. This is there always. And that's where we want to go with this. Okay, that presence is me. I and the Father are one, said Yeshua. There's no separate awareness. That presence is my presence. That awareness is my awareness. There's no separation. And I'm able to interpret that presence in this world in a very helpful way. That guides me to make decisions and take actions that are helpful, which is, then the Holy Spirit coming through me. So, it's very, very powerful mind training that he's given us to connect with guidance all the time, stay connected so we can be guided all the time. And you think, well, what an easy way to live our lives. Instead of all the doubts and the worry and am I getting it right or am I getting it wrong, you simply surrender. You don't have to figure it out. You surrender and you listen. And the presence does it for you. Okay, so let's have a read of today's lesson then. Any other comments or questions on the quote or any of that teaching?
No, I think it's great, and it's. I'll be mindful to listen to it again in case I missed anything. But I do like how you said, ask, listen, because you are that presence. It will, yeah. And you gave so much there as well, because when you're in that place of peace and calm, and then it's the right way to go. It's just so, when you say it sometimes it sounds so simple, doesn't it? But it's the mind training that's so relevant here, because we can get thrown off just like that, even when you're doing this training. So brilliant. Brilliant stuff.
Thank you. Okay, so let's have a look at today's lesson then. If you read the main idea and then the alternative.
Okay. I give my life to God to guide today. I give my life to perfect love to guide today.
Yeah. So any thoughts on that? How does that feel for you?
I definitely like you said, even in the morning, if you sit and read that, I give my life to perfect love to guide today. So pleasant, such a good way to start and just affirm that to yourself. I give my life to perfect love to guide today. And then you just see, and then you're springing out your bed and you're probably singing to the bathroom and you're on some other different planet. And then Yeah.
Well, it's what Yeshua calls the real world. You know, the real world is this world reinterpreted.
Yeah.
From the higher self. It's feeling the love, feeling this life, love essence that's coming through and is guiding you. So this is the flow state is just when you're receiving guidance moment by moment. So you're active in the world, you're doing your thing, but you're getting this guidance, and it's not really you doing it. You're surrendering. You know, I give my life to perfect love to guide today. So you are being done through. David Hoffmeister calls it being done through. You surrender to this presence, this intelligence. You are being done through, and you just, well, how easy to live your life. You know, I don't have to figure this out. It's just happening through me. And so in that process, you learn that I'm not really an individual. You know, I'm not a separate self. I'm not really an individual. I'm just being done through by this presence. I'm just another extension of it, seemingly in a separate body with a separate identity. But I know that's not true. So I'm going to allow myself to be done through, and in that I find so much peace and happiness and joy. That why would I want to live my life any other way? It becomes self-evident that this must be the way. So yeah, profound. I mean, simple, very simple lesson. These are simple ideas, but if you actually live this way, it's life-changing, enormously profound. To surrender your will and just allow yourself to receive guidance. In fact, that's enlightenment. If you're connected and you're receiving guidance all the time, perfect love is guiding you, then you are no longer a separate self. It's a loving presence, loving awareness that's really guiding you. And you and the Father or the source are one. Your mind has merged with that presence.
And when you're being loving, you are there. You know, when you're sharing, you are there, because it's just there. You can see it, can't you? You can sense it.
Yeah. And it's a feeling. That's why I'm talking about experiential. It's not just intellectual. It's experiential.
That's where it throws you a bit, because then you say you're not the body. So when you say it's a feeling, it's just because of what I know.
In mind, what's perceiving, what's feeling is the mind. So you might go, okay, well, I'm feeling it in my body in this way, but what's actually perceiving it is in the mind always. So it's really going into your awareness and saying, well, what am I experiencing? And that brings you and ultimately gets you in touch with your deepest awareness, the foundation, the pure formless awareness of perfect love that you are, which is beyond all these things. There are no fluctuations or change, or there's no need for guidance in that pure formless awareness of perfect love. You are perfect. You're whole. You're complete, and there's no need for guidance anymore. As long as we're still learning, then these are the course is given to people who are learning. It's not given to people who are already enlightened. It's given for people who are still learning. So that's why he meets us where we are. Okay, well, we're a bit lost and confused. We're not always listening to guidance. So he gives us a lesson to help us to start listening. So ultimately, we don't need the lessons ultimately, but while we're learning, we do. That's the paradox of it. I need do nothing ultimately, but right now, well, I need to practice and do the mind training, because that's going to connect me with my source. That's going to get me to the state of awareness where, yes, I accept fully that I need do nothing. Okay, so if you read paragraph 1 for us.
Do you want the alternative or both? Just looking
they're
at the time.
quite short. So read the. It's only short paragraphs. So read the original, and then read the alternative.
Okay, Father, I give you all my thoughts today. I would have none of mine. In place of them, give me your own. I give you all my acts as well, that I may do your will, instead of seeking goals which cannot be obtained, and wasting time in vain imaginings. Today I come to you. I will step back and merely follow you. Be you the guide, and I the follower who questions not the wisdom of the infinite, nor love, whose tenderness I cannot comprehend, but which is yet your perfect gift to me. My source, I give you all my thoughts today. None of mine. In place of them, give me your own. I give you all my acts as well, so that I may do your will, instead of seeking goals which cannot be obtained, and wasting time in vain imaginings. Today I come to you. I will step back and merely follow you. I invite you to be the guide, and I will be the follower who questions not the wisdom of the infinite, nor love, whose tenderness I cannot comprehend, but which is still your perfect gift to me. Sorry, it took me a bit of time there because I'm on my phone and I'm having to scroll backwards and forwards. So,
no problem. Oh, so any thoughts on that?
Yeah, like I said, I do like the way the alternative, I get that better, because the other stuff, sometimes it just doesn't sit right, or, you know, so I do like the alternative.
Yeah, which is, it's just, remember, the words are symbols twice removed from reality, as Yeshua himself says. So the words are pointers.
Yeah.
To a state. So if the alternative works for you better, then use it. So I've included both the original and the alternative.
And it's good to see that, though. Good to see the two, to be fair.
Yeah, I think there's an understanding that can come if you do the original and then you read the alternatives. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In that translation, there's understanding that starts to come.
Yeah.
Okay, and the message, it's a surrender, really. This is what
yes, it was. Yeah. Yeah.
No thoughts are yours. Give you my thoughts, my actions, my words. I will step back and merely follow you.
I think about the whole day today, and I read that this morning. It's like I never paid no attention, but you have asked. And the day seems to be flowing in a different way. You just don't realise, do you, sometimes? I think we do things on autopilot without even realising. But yeah, that seems really, because you have, and I've noticed I've stood a bit back today. I can sense it.
So subtly but profoundly, these lessons then change your mental and emotional state, and they help you to start becoming more aware of the source and living in it. And that's why we practice them, because they make a difference to our state of mind, our mental and emotional states, and that really determines the quality of our experience. If you connected with source, the quality of your experience can be very different from being connected only to the ego. Okay, so any other thoughts on paragraph 1?
No, it's all good.
And then number 2, if you read the original, actually just read we have just changed, what I've done is I've changed the, no, actually read the original, and then I've changed it to the first person and see how that works for you in the first person when you read the alternative.
Okay. Today we have one guide to lead us on, and as we walk together, we will give this day to him with no reserve at all. This is his day, and so it is a day of countless gifts and mercies unto us. Alternative, today I have one guide to lead me on, and as I walk together, I will give this day to it with no reserve at all. This is its day, and so it is a day of countless gifts and blessings to me. Yeah, you definitely sense the difference, don't you?
Becomes more personal. So
yeah.
Actually, this must be changed, I think, as we walk together. Today I have one guide to lead me on. So as I walk, give this day to it. As I walk, my companions, something like that. And give this day to it with no reserve at all. As I walk with it, and then you see.
I think companion sounds good, not it. And as I walk, yeah.
As I walk with my companions, so walk together. As we walk together, that's the original. As I walk with my companions, I'll give this day to it with no reserve.
Yeah.
This is its day. So it's a day of countless gifts and blessings to me. So he's asking us not to have any reserve, not to hold back. Surrender is total. Give everything to this presence and just trust it completely to guide every thought, every word, and every action. Which is where he leaves us at the end of the course. If you go here, let's just find that. So this is a theme that's repeated. I will step back and let him lead the way. That's like halfway through the course. And then the final lesson is this. This is where he leaves us at the end of a year's mind training. This lesson is repeated 5 times at the end. So he's saying it's a pretty important lesson. And it's really the message of today's lesson at the core of it. It's about surrendering and listening to the guidance. So yeah, why don't you just read that? It's very short and sweet and to the point.
This holy instant would I give to you, be you in charge, for I would follow you, certain that your direction gives me peace. And if I need a word, and if I need a word to help me, he will give it to me. If I need a thought, that will he also give. I need, what was that? Oh, if I give, and if I need, but stillness and a tranquil, open mind, these are the gifts I will receive of him. He is in charge by my request, and he will hear and answer me, because he speaks for God, my Father, and his Holy Son. That is really lovely, isn't it? I mean, obviously you're going to change a few of the bit, but like you said, that's really, it is nice, short and sweet, and it says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, and so these lessons in the second part of the workbook are just pointers.
Yeah.
To this truth, and he's asking you to just experience it. The words activate the experience. To experience this presence for yourself, and in that experience, there's no more words necessary. It's just rest in that experience. And you do nothing else. So that's where he's leaving us at the end of the course. Lesson 365, 5 lessons. It's repeated 5 times in a row. The end that he's leaving us is in the charge of this voice he calls the Holy Spirit, that's going to guide us moment by moment through our lives. All our words, our thoughts, and our actions will be guided. And so that's in the end the outcome. The outcome of the course, is to live a peaceful, guided life. The enlightenment and transcending the illusion of time and space and all of that will happen. But that's beyond the scope of the curriculum. That will happen when you're ready. What he's trying to do with the course is to leave you in the charge of the Holy Spirit, the end of it, so that you're much more peaceful, much more happy. You can still function in the world, but you no longer believe that the world is real. Okay. So, any other thoughts on the lesson? Happy with that?
No.
Okay. So there's an introduction to this, an insert, I call them, on what is salvation, which he asks us to do as well. So I think this is new. Shall we read that?
Yes.
Briefly?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
What is salvation?
What is salvation? Salvation is a promise made by God that you would find your way to him. At last, it cannot be kept. It cannot be kept. It guarantees that time will have an end, and all the thoughts that have been born in time will end as well.
Zooming in a bit for you there.
Thank you so much. God's word is given every mind which thinks that it has separate thoughts and will replace these thoughts of conflict with the thought of peace. The alternative, awakening, is a promise made by pure formless awareness of perfect love that you would find your way to it at last. It can only be kept. It guarantees that time will have an end, and all the thoughts that have been born in time will end as well. Perfect love's message is given to every mind which thinks that it has separate thoughts, and we'll replace these thoughts of conflict with the thought of peace. I find that really profound, Jono. What was I saying to you right at the beginning? Because I've read this time and time again over the weekend, because obviously the lessons that we've been doing, I was telling you how I felt at peace, and this is just hitting it. I don't know whether it's because I've read it out loud, I can actually see. But that's a miracle in itself. I feel like crying. I feel like really hip-hip-hooray sort of thing, because I've got something. It felt like I was not getting anything at all. I was just doing it. Wow, that's pretty profound there. And like you said, that is the miracle, because I'm realizing the truth. And something's obviously happened, because I do feel at peace. I'm sensing more peace than anything.
Yeah, that's the indication you're on the right track and you're listening.
Yeah. Wow.
So,
peace, Jono, peace.
Yeah. The hippies had the right idea. They just approach finding it in the right way, because it's within you. It's not in a substance or in anything external to you. It's a thought, as he says. Thoughts of conflict with the. I think I might change that. I could change the thought of peace to the awareness of peace.
Yes, that'd be good.
I mean, a thought of peace is helpful, I guess, but actually what the capital T is talking about is actually more an experience, or the experience of peace. Replace these thoughts of conflict. The experience.
I think the awareness, because this is what it's leading to all the way through, that there is an awareness, isn't there? There is.
Yeah. Okay, we'll keep it as awareness. The awareness of peace. So it's broader than just a thought. I mean, we can think of peace. It's a start. I think of peace, but many people can think of peace but not really be peaceful. It's more like, oh, well, it's a concept. It's an idea.
But we're not thinking of thinking and thoughts as being real. So the awareness is real, but the thinking and thoughts are not. So the awareness is there, isn't it? Because that's all we are, awareness. So I think
any real thought, there's thought, real thoughts just point us to that awareness. Real thoughts connect us with that awareness. So I think about peace, that's connecting me to my true awareness, because my true awareness is peaceful. So then we call that a true thought. But ultimately, the pure formless awareness is not thought in the sense that most people think of thought. It's just a pure awareness. There's no subject object. There's nothing dualistic there. It's just this awareness of itself, because there is nothing else ultimately.
Yeah.
And that feels deeply peaceful when you have that awareness. So hence the translation, the awareness of peace. These thoughts of conflict are replaced with a spacious awareness, this presence that brings me peace. And if you can start to experience that through these words, then the words are doing their work. That's what they're made for.
That was a bit like a popping candy moment, that something had actually hit the idea. Do you know what I mean? It was just reading it, and then I could feel myself. I was quite getting excited inside. Oh my gosh, it's actually happening. Because we don't realise, do we? Until, like you said, you read it and you share that experience, especially with yourself, because you've done the healing, you're doing the modalities. Wow, yeah, yeah.
Good. Yeah. Well, that's a moment of insight. It's called.
Yes.
Wow. Satori in the Japanese. You just go, bing. I just get something, and again, it's experiential. You can't necessarily easily explain it in words, but it's just something that drops in and you're bing. And that's how this process works, of mind training, and just so it's a progressive unfolding. These insights come when you do this work and you expose yourself to these profound teachings, and bing, I got that, bing, and it's like an opening of the mind to its true awareness. It's happening systematically and progressively, and this is why miracles are the way. Those insights are the miracles that punctuate your life, that are designed to take you back to your source, to awareness of your source. Okay, so happy with number 1. Any questions on that?
No, just that amazing realization just there, Jono. That just reading those two different, and I always knew that I always liked the second paragraph better. But really tapping into that and just realizing that, I think that's, I love it. Thank you.
My pleasure. Okay, so number 2. Thought of peace. So I guess we better translate that as awareness as well. Awareness of peace. Okay, if you want to read the
awareness of peace was given to perfect love's extension the instant that its mind had thought of war. There was no need for such a thought before, for peace was given without opposite, and merely was. But when the mind is seemingly split, there is a need for healing. So the thought that has the power to heal the split became a part of every fragment of the mind that still was one, but failed to recognize its oneness. Now it did not know itself and thought its own identity was lost. Gosh, I know I've been reading that slowly as well, but I seem to be taking that in as well. The split mind, how we all have that. Well, we all must have that split mind to experience what we're experiencing now. And I can really sense that split in what you're saying, and what I've just read. Gosh, that can't be another miracle just like that, can it?
There's no limit to them.
No, there isn't.
These insights can come at any point, and there's no limit to them. There's no order of difficulty. This is what he's saying. There's no limit, no order of difficulty, because they don't obey the laws of this world of scarcity and lack and loss. They're infinite and abundant in nature. So you can have many insights in a day. And so I guess the program, Course in Miracles, and then with the Art of Letting Go, is designed to help you to have those insights every day. So you fast track. It's your awakening is quicker. I think I'm just going to change this back to thought. So we'll keep awareness in the previous sentence, but I'm looking at it in context. And so what he's saying here is, yes, we had ultimately, pure formless awareness of perfect love. But when we thought of separation, had thought of war, separation, then there was a need for a thought of peace. That would reconnect us with the awareness of peace.
Yes.
That's where it's coming in. It's this thought. It's like, okay, there is this idea of peace. Although I'm not experiencing it, my mind is split and I'm interpolated. The thought is what can connect me with the awareness of it. As he said, there was no need for such a thought. For peace was given without opposite and merely was. But when the mind is seemingly split, then there is a need for healing, and so this thought is useful. It has the power to heal the split. This thought became a part of every fragment of the mind. It still was a one, but failed to recognize its oneness.
Yeah, I like that, Jono.
And now it did not know itself and thought its own identity was lost. So it's the way back. We think about peace, even if we don't experience it. That idea of peace can then reconnect us with the actual experience or the awareness of it. Which is why, we do the mind training. So by bringing peace in, by using the word peace, reminding ourselves about it, we are saying this, this is important, and we want to experience this again. And that's the healing. Okay. So any thoughts on number 2? Can you summarize it in your own words?
The peace was always there in my eyes now through that paragraph. It's like you had to experience the split for you to actually realize the true realization of peace. Am I right in thinking that? Because that's what I'm sensing and feeling right now as well. It's another aha moment, thinking, oh, wow. Because you've lost your own identity because of that split of who you really are, because it's always been there. Oh, gosh, yeah. So I don't know if that made sense in what I think the paragraph is, but to me is that peace was always there, but you've been led to it with this awareness of pure, perfect love that has just reminded you of something that you'd felt you'd lost.
So peace is a reminder. The word points us to the state of being in peace, which is perfect love's natural state. Condition of perfect love is peace. It must rest in peace because there's nothing else. There's no other awareness. It's just one singular awareness. So peace and this perfect love or pure formless awareness go hand in hand. So now we have a thought that just reminds us, okay, well, you've forgotten this. You now have some other awareness going on. But this thought of peace can reconnect you with the actual experience of it. Initially, you might not feel it, but you remind yourself, yes, I want peace. I know peace is possible. And then this becomes the anchor to go back into that awareness. The thought of peace will ultimately take you back into the awareness of peace. But at the moment, he's talking about thought because he's saying, well, if you've disconnected, you need this thought to reconnect you. Okay.
I'm actually realizing now the power of being on a proper live discussion with you, Jono. Because like we've said, you've said it time and time again, you benefit so much coming on to a live. And I've got to admit, every live I've come on, it has been profound. I have walked away with something more than what I would have done by listening to a recording. But I do like listening to the recordings.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good second. If you can't come on live, but in the live there's interaction and it's experiential, and there does seem to be something about it that just brings these insights in quite a personal way because it's happening for you. This whole thing's orchestrated by the Holy Spirit for you, for your healing. So the people on the live call have shown up and say, okay, well, you're in the field of this transformation, and then the experience has come because you've put yourself in the field. And with other people at the moment, you know, today was only 2 of us, but if there's others as well, and that all contributes to the field. And even though we hundreds, thousands of miles apart, depending on where you are in the world, it doesn't matter. It's a field of energy.
It's still profound, because I've always said a conversation makes a huge difference, especially when you have that healing modality, which you do have, and so do I, because of the jobs and the work that we've done in the past. But I just think there is that connection, that conversation, when you're really truly being heard in that space. It doesn't matter where you are, does it? It's going to happen. That's good. Yeah, really good.
Okay, so happy with number 2?
Yeah.
Number 3.
Awakening is undoing, in the sense that it does nothing. Failing to support the world of dreams and malice. So it lets illusions go by not supporting them. It merely lets them quietly go down to dust. And what they hid is now revealed, a foundation to the whole identity of perfect love, on which its message is written, with the gifts of your forgiveness laid before it.
So letting go.
Sorry, just give me a minute. Come on. Ollie. Come on. Sorry, did I read that one, or have I not finished it?
The gifts of your letting go laid before it, and the memory of perfect love not far behind.
Yeah, with the gifts of letting go laid before it, and the memory of perfect love not behind. Yeah, I seem to have lost myself on that one.
You want to read it again from the top?
Yeah. Awakening is undoing, in the sense that it does nothing. Failing to support the world of dreams and malice. So it lets illusions go by not supporting them. It merely lets them go quietly down to dust. And what they hid is now revealed, a foundation to the whole identity of perfect love, on which its message is written, with the gifts of your letting go laid before it, and the memory of perfect love not far behind. That's really profound as well. That's so beautiful, isn't it? When you get to that state of knowing what's happening, and that you are letting it go, and yet it feels like you're not doing anything, but it's making the changes for you, isn't it? Because you're allowing it to happen. And I do find that to be lovely as well. I really do. I just think there's a different, because I've read these, you know, Johnny, because you do suggest or say to us to read them, don't you? Before we do the... There's definitely something that's hitting me today. It's because I'm being guided by love.
Yeah, as you said, there's something that happens on a live call. I don't know what it is exactly, but there's some kind of energy that seems to reveal more, and having someone else to do it with you, and then I'm kind of prompting you and saying, well, what's your experience, and then it's within the context of the quote and the story, and it's all it just helps you to have a deeper experience of it. So yeah, any thoughts on that? What is he saying there in summary?
It's all that whole process of letting go and just letting it be. It's like you've been constantly reminded not to worry about anything. Just let it go. Do nothing. And yet we shit ourselves, don't we? Because we think we've got to do. And that's how your mind starts. That's how you split your mind. I think that's really, again, it's really good. It is like, although it's saying it's undoing, you are actually letting go of everything that you ever thought was to be true.
Yeah, exactly. He's just restating it again, and then what's hidden is revealed. So, if it's just a veil of illusion covering over the truth, then logically you should let go of the veil, and what will be revealed is the truth. As he said, a foundation to the whole identity of perfect love, on which its message is written. So there's this foundation. It's been called many things: God, love, the ground of being. I quite like that. Some philosophers call it the ground of being, on which its message is written. So that foundation then creates the true messages that are coming into your mind. So you're getting guidance from the Holy Spirit. The message is coming from that foundation, expressed in a helpful, specific way for you in your dream, but it's written on the foundation of perfect love. And then he talks about the gifts, where you're letting go laid before it, and the memory of perfect love not far behind.
And I guess that is what I'm experiencing a lot of today, the peace. And the peace is more profound than anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So you go into the mystical experience of peace, and this makes sense. You go, well, I can't doubt this anymore because I'm having this profound experience. And so the concepts are one thing, but the actual experience of this being true is what it's really about. And so, that's why in the second part of the workbook, he's emphasizing experience. Use the words as pointers to that deeper experience, so that you come to know the truth. Remember, it's not just about understanding intellectually the truth, perceiving the truth. It's come to know the truth. That must be experiential. Okay, so happy with number 3? Number 4.
Let us come daily to this wholly aware place and spend a while together. Here, we share our final dream. It is a dream in which there is no sorrow. It holds a hint of all the magnificence given to us by perfect love. The grass is pushing through the soil. The trees are budding now, and birds have come to live within their branches. Earth is being born again in new perspective. Night is gone, and we have come together in the light of true awareness. That's that whole thing about being reborn. Just there. Yeah,
I love the imagery. He's using imagery to try and evoke a feeling in us of, Earth is being born again, a rebirth. You think of a really beautiful fresh morning. You wake up and the sun might have been raining or something. It's been a storm, and then the sun is out and it's clear and bright, and it's like the night is gone, and there's this sort of miraculous quality to it. Well, and this is what he's saying our perception can be. In our happy dream, a dream in which there is no sorrow, it holds a hint of all the magnificence given to us by perfect love. So when we've truly let go of our egos, there can be no sorrow. There's just this happiness, this joy, this gratitude. And he's using imagery to connect us with that feeling right now. Come together in the light of true awareness. And that, the sun is symbolic of the source that just illuminates everything. It's shining on everything, and you see everything in its light, and everything is holy. Everything is wholly aware, just beautiful and pristine and innocent and clean. And he's holding that out to us, beautiful imagery to say, this is how you could perceive the world. And this is the happy dream, when you perceive the world this way. That's the happy dream. Then you will be, as happy as you possibly can be in this world. Doesn't mean you're never going to get challenged. But it means that you can always find this awareness, this true awareness, which is the real world. And as you say, it's about the rebirth experience, being reborn in a new mindset, to a new perception of the world, a new perspective.
And every moment is the same in that retrospect, isn't it? Because we've never had this moment before. We don't know what we're going to say. We've come together. And it is like that seed, that budding, because even this is, because we didn't know what we were going to say, or, you have to look at each moment as being that innocent, isn't it? Because it's never been here before, and looking at it in that way. I think there's a different appreciation, isn't there? When you're talking like this, and when you really do, tap into it or click into this, it can only be the perspective of a new moment, but it's a profound new moment.
Well, it's the truth is, it's not really new. It's actually the same moment. There's no time.
No.
So there's nothing new. It's always the same. But if we've been out of that awareness, and we've been off with the fairies in the past or the future, dreaming in this crazy dream of time and space, then we come into that pure formless awareness of perfect love that's always been there, which is the essence of being present, the essence of the now. It feels fresh, it feels new, it feels clean, it feels like we've been reborn. And then we perceive everything from that state of awareness. And so our perception is now clean and pure and innocent. We still have sense perceptions going on, but all of the the dark thoughts and emotions that characterize them are kind of wiped away and cleaned away. And so we just perceive clearly. It's like I see something without the judgments and interpretations of the ego, and I remain in that awareness. And so that awareness is the essence of the now, the present moment. And it's an eternal awareness that's always been there, but has been obscured. So you start to see how it all comes together, the idea of the now being present and this fundamental awareness we're talking about. It's really the same thing, just different words. You point to the same thing, which ultimately comes into your life as an experience, a whole experience of the truth of who you really are. When you experience that, it feels like you've been reborn. Everything's changed. Your perception of everything in this world changes when when you connected with that awareness. And that's awakening. When you come into this perception, this holy perception, as he calls it, that's salvation. That will save your mind from attachment to this world. That will free your mind ultimately. And while you're here, you're free to experience a happy dream. Okay, so any thoughts on number 4?
I guess it's like you just said, it's that moment by moment that's always been the same. And where we get pulled over by time and space, don't we? When there is no time and space, like you just said.
Mm-hmm. And this awareness is the essence of what it means to be in the now, which then transcends time and space and takes you back to eternity, which is why the now is, central teaching in all these spiritual teachings, because it's the portal to this higher awareness. It's how we experience this awareness in this world. We're totally present. We're in the now. Our thoughts on it, we're not thinking about the past or the future. It's just this awareness, and we just experience peace. So the thought of peace is this awareness. And the thought of peace directs us back into this awareness in the now moment. So peace, this higher awareness, the now, it's all really part of the same thought system. It's all really one. They're just different words that point to different aspects, seemingly, in this world of one awareness, one experience, ultimately. And as we start to connect the dots, we go, actually, it's all the same. It's one awareness. Whatever, if I call it peace, or I call it the now, or I call it presence, or I call it true awareness, it's all the same. It's all pointing me into an experience that transcends these terms. And so I experienced the peace of God, as it was called by Paul in the Bible, of the peace of God that surpasses all understanding. Because it's an experience, it's not intellectual. These concepts point us to that experience. So that's why we practice them, we discuss them. It points you into the experience, which transcends all of them and all the words that point to them. Okay, so last paragraph, and then we'll go into a meditation.
Yes, and I'll keep having these moments of silence now, Jono, because it's so amazing.
It takes you into that experience, doesn't it?
Okay, where is that? We awaken the world. Is that where I am?
Yeah, we awaken the world with this awareness.
Yeah, we awaken the world with this awareness, for it is this awareness that has awoken us. The song of our rejoicing is the call to all the world that freedom is returned. Time is almost over, and perfect love's extension has only an instant more to wait until its source is remembered. Dreams are done. Eternity has shined away the world, and only the state of pure formless awareness now exists at all.
Okay, any thoughts on that?
I guess the word freedom, you have to start with those words, that we are free, because you're constantly now being reminded of the truth. That's a lot to take in, isn't it, when you've been following illusions, but it's not even to take in, it's just this realization, isn't it? And how you can feel. I was going to say you can't feel embarrassed because you didn't know this is the way that it was, but you do, don't you? You feel like a right stickler for following something that wasn't true, but you weren't going to know that unless you had that experience. For you to have now this experience of what truth is.
Yeah, exactly. It's all perfect. It's apparent imperfection. You needed to go out of it, experience some pain, suffering, whatever you experienced, to awaken to the truth that only this is true and only this is going to work. So it's just waking up to an awareness that's always been there, but you covered it over. Illusion. And so it feels very, amazing when it's what's been covered over now is revealed again. So it's feels miraculous and amazing and transformational and profound, all these words, because we've just covered it over and we've been lost in the darkness. Now the light comes. Wow, the light is so amazing and bright because it was so dark and awful. It's always been there. Just you becoming aware of it now. Consciously aware, inviting it in every day by doing this course and practicing the mind training exercises that it contains. So keep doing it, and this awareness must strengthen. It's gonna grow from strength to strength because it wants to come into your mind. This is the universal program. It's the purpose of the world, of the universe, is that this awareness arises more and more in your awareness, ultimately becomes your whole awareness. You realize that is me, that's my awareness, and there's no other awareness. That's the mystical merging of the Father and the Son. So on that note, shall we dive into a meditation to experience that for 20 minutes or so. So just going somewhere where you are going to be comfortable. Are you ready to dive into it?
Yes, I've just headed back into the kitchen, so I'm at the table, so I'm all right. I'll just I'll mute myself.
Yeah, okay. All right, so just sitting comfortably, feet shoulder width apart, back straight, cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes. And start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose, so breathing in, and noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Feel the energy rising up the spine into your heart center. If you like, you can put one hand on your heart, just to connect in with your heart space. Drawing the energy all the way up into the crown of your head. Just pausing at the top of the inhale, smile. And scan your mind, so just noticing any thoughts, any emotions, any sensations going on for you. Particularly anything that feels negative, limiting, contracted, constricting in any way, shape or form. If there's any decision that's causing you difficulties, feeling doubtful, fearful, negative in any way, shape or form, notice that. And just breathe in and you create some spacious awareness around that. thought and that feeling. And in observing it with this awareness, it immediately starts to dissipate. So have a sense of releasing, just help it on its way with your breath. So exhales, you exhale. Just use today's key idea, mind training lesson. I give my life to you, God, or perfect love to guide today. And you exhale and just blow it all out, letting it all go to the nothingness that it really is. Expelling all the last remaining air out. And pull the lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And just rest in peace and stillness. For a few moments, feeling the peace arising, this lesson points to. Letting go of the background noise. And just focus in on the peace that exists in the stillness and the quietness. So there's really nowhere else to go and there's nothing else to do. And nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, be still. Sink into the peace that lies beyond your thoughts and emotions. Again, say to yourself, I give my life to perfect love to guide today. Give my life over to this presence. Feel a sense of surrender as you say that. Just observe the breath flowing into the nostrils and out of the nostrils. And just observing the breath takes you into the surrendered state. Let the breath take you a little bit deeper. Going deeper and deeper into the state. Deep, profound state of mind. And realize there's really nowhere else to go. There's nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just surrender into this deep peace. Into the silence, the stillness, quietness. So there's nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, be still, and surrender. to that stillness. For the next couple of minutes of deep silence. Rest in the peace of God, peace of perfect love that passes all understanding. Next 2 minutes of deep silence. Many thoughts, emotions, physical sensations come up that are not peaceful, disturb your peace. Have any fear, any anxiety, any doubt, worries about the future, just remind yourself as you breathe in the life-giving presence of perfect love, that I give my life to perfect love to guide today. And then you exhale, blow any of that negativity away. It's like a dark cloud leaving you. Out of your mouth, out of your energy system, out of your body. Spell it out. Breeze of your breath. Pull the lower stomach into the spine. And just rest here. Another minute or so of deep silence. And the peace of God that surpasses all understanding, as it's called in the Bible. The surrendered state where you completely trust that this presence will guide you moment by moment, step by step through the seeming complexity of this world to simplicity of the truth, to the happy dream, to ultimately awakening from the dream entirely. So allow yourself just to rest in this awakened state. Perfect peace for another couple of minutes of deep silence. And so just gently coming back from this deep state of awareness, an awareness of the body and the breath, senses and the world. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Top of the inhale, just pause. And notice any thoughts, any emotions, any sensations going on, particularly anything that feels negative or limiting, contracted or constricting in any way. Breathe into it. And just be willing to let it all go. The help of your breath, so exhale. So give my life to perfect love to guide today. Connect with that energy, blow it all out. Feel the energy subsiding from the crown of your head, down the front channel of your body, out your mouth. The chest and the stomach suck back in. Let your energy come to rest in your lower stomach and your groin. Count of 2, notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Notice that you're feeling and touching. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth. Notice that. Notice any smell in your nose. Notice what you're hearing in the surrounding environment. Just noticing all these things from this very still, calm, and surrendered state of mind. So you're connecting with your true awareness, which is always peaceful. Anchor the state of peace in. Set the intention to stay there for the rest of the afternoon and evening. And to just remind yourself of today's key idea of today's lesson frequently to help you do that. So it is said, so it is done. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So just looking around for a minute, bring yourself back, observing the various thoughts and emotions in your mind. Notice that underneath that there's this deep peace that permeates all your perceptions. So whatever you look upon, it's the same awareness. Look on anything for a few seconds, notice that peace there, then look on something else, notice it's still peaceful, same awareness. So that you're teaching yourself that awareness is always there, can never really be lost, and it is your true awareness. It's who you really are. So practice this lesson today well. Use the breath break, 3-minute breath break I've sent you, all the instructions that I've given you in your email or text message. If you only have less than a minute to do it, and that should keep you connected to the peace of God, passes all understanding, and the guidance that this brings, surety and the confidence and the safety and the blessings and the peace, which is what I wish for you. So brings us to the end of the meditation and this afternoon session. Thank you for joining, Susie, and hope to see you again soon. Namaste.
Thanks, Jono.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a lovely afternoon.
And you. Thank you.